At Christmas, my parents and my sister made my 11-year-old daughter eat alone in an empty room. They gave her burned toast and a rotten apple. She deserved it, my mom said. My sister nodded. At the time, I was on a night shift at the hospital. I didn't shout. I started making moves. 3 days later, my parents were screaming in panic. I'm Daniela, 37, ER surgeon. And yes, I worked on Christmas. Not because I enjoy it, but because when there's a major accident, you grab your keys and go. Even if you've just shown up at your parents' house with your daughter to celebrate Christmas. Eliza didn't want to come in the first place. She said it quietly. Mom, can we just stay home this year? I smiled, trying to make it sound normal. Sweetheart, we can't. It's tradition. Everyone comes together for Christmas. Grandma and Grandpa would be upset if we didn't show. I gave her a hug. It'll be fine. At the time, I really thought I was doing the right thing. Trying to keep some version of family intact. We hadn't even parked when the hospital called. Multi-car accident. Multiple criticals. You're needed. I ran into the house, still in my coat, kissed my mom on the cheek, said a quick hello. Then I saw Eliza. She stood by the door in her favorite beanie, looking lost and anxious. That hat, her dad gave it to her 6 months before he died. He'd been sick for a while, but the heart attack still came out of nowhere. A year ago now. Eliza didn't take it well. She shut down. Barely ate. Cried all the time. I had to get her into therapy just to stabilize her. And then she started wearing that beanie. Everywhere. Inside. In summer. I didn't argue. Everyone needs armor. I didn't want to leave her. But I had to. I crouched down and said, You'll be okay, baby. I'll be back tomorrow morning. Be brave, okay? She nodded, barely. I left. Feeling like crap the whole drive to the hospital. That night felt like something out of a disaster movie. Sirens. Blood. Screaming. By the end, I was just numb. Around midnight, I called my mom. How's Eliza? Everything okay? Her voice was tight. Flat. She's fine. Don't worry about us. I asked to speak to Eliza. She's asleep, my mom said. I let it go. Told myself maybe she really was asleep. Maybe things were actually fine. It's family, right? You trust them. I came back the next morning, like I promised. Ready for hugs, coffee, warm cinnamon rolls. Yeah, none of that happened. My mom opened the door with a fake smile and a hint of passive-aggressive disappointment. Well, look who finally showed up. We thought you weren't coming. Eliza ran out. No coat. No shoes. Just socks. She clung to me like I'd just come back from war. That's when I knew something was very, very wrong. What happened? I asked. She shook her head. I wanna go home. I crouched again, looked her in the eye. Eliza, sweetheart. You can tell me. Is everything okay? She whispered, no. But I'll tell you at home. My mom hovered behind us, pretending not to hear. She was awful last night. She brought it on herself. We just had to discipline her. For what? I asked, standing. She was rude, Chloe chimed in, robotic as ever, like she was reading from a traffic citation. She talked back. It was unacceptable. Seriously. I turned to my dad. He cleared his throat. Said nothing. I didn't argue. Just took Eliza's hand and said, come on. We went to the guest room, the one where she slept. Sat on the edge of the bed. Only then did she start to talk. Slowly. In fragments. Like saying it out loud made it worse. They laughed at her beanie. The one her dad gave her before he died. Said only weirdos wear hats indoors. Told her she had to take it off or she couldn't sit at the table. She didn't want to. But Grandma said, no hat, no dinner. So she took it off. And then, I sat there, listening to my daughter's shaky little voice, and I swear something in me cracked open. How could they? How dare they? And how the hell did I leave her alone with them? I wanted to say a prayer, Eliza said quietly, to thank God for the food. But Grandpa told me, We don't do that here. Don't make a scene. Aunt Chloe said I was ruining the holiday. Said I shouldn't be setting a bad example for Andrew. I was already holding my breath. I told them Dad used to say grace, and I wanted to do the same. And then Grandma said she was tired of hearing about my dad. She said you wasted years taking care of him while he was sick, and he wasn't worth it. That he was a loser. That's when Eliza broke down. Full on sobbing, face buried in my shoulder. I couldn't take it, she choked out. I yelled at them. I said not to talk about my dad like that. I told them he was better than all of them combined. Good girl, I thought. But my heart was breaking. They all went quiet. Then Grandma grabbed my arm and pulled me away from the table. She told me to go to my room and not come out until morning. She even took my phone. I only got to leave for the bathroom. I could hear them laughing at the table. I kept petting her hair, gently, trying to stay calm. Failing. They gave me food, she added. Burnt toast, oatmeal, and an apple that was kind of gross. But Alex brought me some turkey and pie later. He told me not to tell anyone so he wouldn't get in trouble. Grandma said he and Andrew weren't allowed to talk to me. She took a deep breath. Alex was really nice. He said they were wrong, and I didn't do anything bad. Then she looked up at me with those red, tired eyes and asked, "Are you mad at me?" I yelled at them. I hugged her tighter than I thought possible. "Sweetheart, no. I'm not mad. You did the right thing. You stood up for your dad." Why did they call him a loser? They were lying. And cruel. Your dad was a good man, smart, kind, and he loved you so much. I love you so much. I kissed her head. Told her to pack her things. We were leaving. Now. I took a long breath and walked into the living room. They were all sitting there like nothing happened. Like this wasn't a disaster. Like they hadn't just emotionally gutted an 11-year-old. I stood in the middle of the room. Do you honestly think this is okay? Punishing a child on Christmas? Mocking her dad? Locking her in a room, taking her phone, not letting her talk to me? My mom pursed her lips. She was out of control. She yelled. She made a scene. Because you humiliated her. You stomped all over the only piece of her dad she still has. Chloe stood up, cool and detached, like always. What did she tell you? She twists things. You know she has episodes. My voice was ice. That wasn't an episode. You pushed her too far. Dad tried the calm, reasonable voice. You know we only want what's best for her. But she was being disrespectful. She needed boundaries. Then he gave me that tired sigh of his. Let's just put this behind us. It's Christmas. Let's sit down as a family. Have a nice dinner. He reached for a box. We got you both gifts. For you, for Eliza. Oh, that's rich. I pushed the box away. Eliza doesn't want your gifts. And I definitely don't. I believe my daughter. You had no right to treat her like that. Silence. I walked over to the bag I'd dropped by the door when I came in. Pulled out 2 wrapped presents. Andrew, I said, handing him one. This is for you. I hope you like it. He smiled, clueless. Excited. Alex. I handed him his. Thank you. He nodded, quick and quiet. Couldn't meet my eyes. Then I took out a folder. Slowly, calmly, opened it, pulled out the contents, and tore them to pieces, shreds. Left them on the table, right in front of them. Mom gasped. What are you doing? I looked her straight in the eye. Starting. That was it. Eliza and I left. In the car, she didn't say a word. Just stared out the window. I put my hand gently on her shoulder. You won't have to go through that again. Ever. And in my head? The plan was already forming. Clear. Surgical. They were going to remember this Christmas. Forever. I know when it really started. Not at Christmas. Not when Paul died. Not even when Eliza was born. It started way before that. I was born 3 years after Chloe. A surprise no one asked for. My mom used to say childbirth with me was hell. Apparently, I almost killed her. After me, her heart and joints started acting up. Life went downhill. She made sure I heard that story more than once. First time was when I spilled milk on the tablecloth at age 5. You should be grateful we didn't just give you up at the hospital, she said. Chloe giggled. She always giggled. She was one of them, expected, planned, perfect. Chloe was the golden child. The choir girl, the embroidery princess, the collector of porcelain dolls in traditional dresses. Her room looked like a museum, white curtains, pastel boxes, everything neat and sparkly. Mine? Basically, a storage closet. Hand-me-down furniture from the attic, a half-broken bookshelf filled with Chloe's old toys, now officially mine. My dolls had missing limbs and someone else's names. New clothes? Only when Chloe's were too worn out to pass down. There was always money for her extracurriculars, ballet, swimming, art classes. When I asked to try karate, Mom said, "You're already too aggressive. We don't need you turning into some boyish brute." I got into astronomy once. Thought it was beautiful. Dad said, "Keep staring at the sky, you'll trip over your own feet. Why don't you help your mom around the house instead?" Helping was my job. By age 8, I was cleaning floors, folding laundry, dusting furniture. Meanwhile, Chloe was learning a new dance for her school performance or rehearsing a speech for the holiday concert. Her existence was a family project. Mine was a maintenance issue. When they forgot to pick me up from daycare, more than once, it was always my fault. "You know we're busy people," Mom would snap. "We can't drop everything for you." So I sat on that bench outside the building, watching the lights turn off, teaching myself not to cry. Because crying made them angry. "Come on," Dad would say, "you're tough, right?" So yeah, I got tough. Too soon. Too fast. When I hit my teens and started working part-time, part of my paycheck automatically went to the family. When I got into nursing school, I had to take out loans. Chloe? She got her tuition paid in full for a private design college. She's now a freelance graphic designer, working from home, making logos and running a couple of Instagram accounts for beauty brands. She constantly complains how hard it is being a single mom. When I met Paul, their faces dropped. He wasn't their kind. Not ambitious. Not useful. But he was kind. Steady. And he actually saw me, not just what I could do for everyone. They said he was holding me back. That I could have married someone more promising. Translation: someone who'd keep bankrolling their little wish list. Paul never stopped me from helping them. But he did stand up to my mother, once. Just once. And that was enough for them to hate him forever. When he got sick and I started spending money on his treatment, they got offended. Said I forgot who gave me everything in life. Said I owed them. Said their roof was leaking and now they didn't have enough to fix it. Then he died. And just like that, I was alone again. No husband. No buffer. They never liked Eliza. From day one. Said her eyes were weird. Said she was too quiet. Said she didn't take after us. When she stopped talking after Paul's death, barely slept, refused to leave her room, Mom said, "You spoiled her. She likes playing the victim." And after what they did to her this Christmas, it all finally clicked. This wasn't some isolated incident. This wasn't a bad day. This wasn't a breakdown. It was a continuation of the same pattern I'd been trapped in since childhood. And if I didn't break it now, they'd do to Eliza exactly what they did to me. Around 3 a.m., I went downstairs. Made some tea. Sat in the dark. And without any drama, without any tears, I realized. Enough. No more extra money. No more insurance coverage. No more paying for Chloe's new iPad or her little online design courses she's been dreaming about for 6 months. She can find another sponsor. I'm done. By morning, I was already on the phone with my lawyer. Things were going to change. For good. I woke up before Eliza. Sat on the edge of the bed, just watching her breathe. She looked peaceful, but her eyes were still swollen, even in her sleep. There were dried tear marks on her pillow. And in that moment I realized, this wasn't just some family drama. This wasn't a misunderstanding or a rough holiday. Something broke. For good. And if I didn't act now, I wouldn't just be betraying her. I'd be betraying myself. There's this rule we have in the ER. If someone's bleeding out, you don't stop to ask what happened. You stop the bleeding. That's exactly what this was. Only the patient was my daughter. And the blood? Her trust. I went to the kitchen, made some coffee, opened my laptop. Made a list. Cold. Clinical. Like I was scrubbing in for surgery. First thing on the list, meet with attorney. Second, meet with Alex. He actually reached out to me first. Messaged me. If you want to know what really happened, I recorded it. Want to show you. But not at the house. I told him to meet me at the little coffee shop across from my clinic. He showed up alone. Hoodie, backpack, dark circles under his eyes. A kid who's tired of being the adult. Hey, he said, sitting down across from me. Thanks for meeting me. Alex, I said, thank you. For what you did for Eliza. She told me you brought her food when they locked her in that room. He nodded, stared out the window. I couldn't not do something, you know? We all act like this stuff is normal. Grandma screaming, mom bossing everyone around, grandpa staying quiet because it's easier. That's just how it's always been. But Eliza was alone. Crying. On Christmas. And I just sat there. Eating pie. I felt disgusting. He pulled out his phone and hit play. 10 minutes of shaky, dim footage. He'd filmed it secretly, from across the room. The video quality wasn't great. But the audio? Crystal clear. I heard my mother call my daughter odd. Heard Chloe snap, take off that hat, it's rude, and enough whining about your dad. Then Eliza, standing up, yelling, crying. And then my mom grabbing her arm, dragging her away from the table. Go to your room and think about your behavior. Don't you dare come out until morning. Then Chloe's voice, hissing, good. Let her sit. Maybe she'll get over herself. The video cut out. My heart was pounding like I'd run a marathon. You have a copy? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Yeah. He handed me a flash drive. I looked at him. Why did you do this, Alex? He shrugged. Maybe because I want out. Out of all of it. This family, it's like, everyone walks a tightrope. And grandma's the one holding the rope. Step out of line, and she cuts you off. I'm not a hero, Aunt Danny. But I'm done pretending this is okay. What they did was rock bottom. I stared at him, and for a second, I saw Paul. That same quiet strength. That same exhausted honesty. The same low-key defiance. You're gonna be okay, I told him. You're not like them. He smiled a little. Thanks. I just want to finish high school. Get out. Maybe UC Berkeley'll take me. I like biology, you know? Guess it runs in the family. I laughed. He blushed. I put my hand on his shoulder. If you ever need anything, reach out. And thank you. This video, it matters. The next day, I was in my lawyer's office. No, I didn't think my parents would end up in jail over oatmeal and a rotting apple. But I wanted them to know, things have changed. I filed a formal complaint for emotional abuse. In California, that's not a joke. Yeah, sometimes it ends in a warning. But not always. That night, I sat down with a calculator. I added it up, everything I paid to support them. Monthly stipends. Health insurance. Gifts. Roof repairs. They're half of the mortgage. The custom kitchen they redid last year. By the end of it, my stomach dropped. Almost $18,000. For the privilege of having my daughter called weird and banished from the dinner table. And Chloe? I'd been paying for her online design courses. She always dreamed of opening her own interior design studio. I thought maybe, if she had a passion, she'd finally become a decent human. Stupid me. I even loaned her money for a summer vacation with the kids. Never saw a cent back. That was it. I cancelled the auto payments. Removed them from my health plan. Called the bank, no more mortgage support. Design course? Cancelled. Subscription deleted. A storm's coming. But this time? It's not inside me. It's headed exactly where it belongs. I'm still shaking. But not from fear. Not from guilt. I'm not the quiet daughter anymore. I'm a mother. One who knows exactly who will and who won't be at the table from now on. The calls started 3 days later. First my dad. Then my mom. Then Chloe. Then my mom again. Then a text from Chloe. You're going too far. You know what's funny? I didn't say a single word. Not one. No explanations. No arguments. No justifications. I just had my lawyer send over the paperwork. A formal letter terminating all financial support. Copies of checks and receipts. A 3-year itemized breakdown of every dollar I'd spent on them. Neat little columns. Totals. Signatures. No emotion, just math. They wanted to treat me like an accountant? Fine. Here's your spreadsheet. My mom was the first to crack. She called while I was at the grocery store. I was standing in front of the dairy fridge, debating oat milk or whole, and my phone buzzed. Are you out of your damn mind? This is how you thank us for everything we've done for you. I hit decline. Put my phone on silent. Stopped checking my messages altogether. 2 days later came wave 2. You're abandoning your family. You're manipulating your child. How could you be so cruel? Chloe, of course, really leaned in. It was like the self-righteous Olympics, and she was going for gold. Then the panic kicked in. I guess it finally hit them when those late payment notices started rolling in. When they realized this wasn't just another one of my emotional phases. That this time, I was done for real. Chloe sent a whole letter. An actual bulleted list of reasons why I owed them. Why I should never air family business in public. Why I was overreacting. And why I should be ashamed for destroying the family. I dropped it straight into the verbal abuse folder. Didn't read past the first line. Do I feel bad? Not even a little. I haven't forgotten how Eliza sat alone in that room on Christmas, while they laughed at the dinner table. Then I filed a civil complaint. I knew it probably wouldn't go anywhere legally. But that wasn't the point. Even my lawyer said it. You're doing this so they understand they don't get to do this anymore and walk away clean. Exactly. Even if the court didn't rule in my favor, I was still allowed to be angry. Still allowed to act. At the hearing, they tried to play it down. We were just trying to teach our granddaughter respect, my mom said. It was basic discipline, Chloe added, like she was reading off a parenting blog from 1987. They even dragged in some therapist friend of theirs who testified that Eliza is just a sensitive child, and that maintaining family hierarchy is important in situations like this. The judge didn't say much. Just listened. Then we played the recording Alex made. And the room went dead silent. You could hear every word. The insults. The mockery. Their voices, so cold, so smug. And Eliza's voice, quiet and shaky, trying to defend her dad, before getting shut down and dragged away from the table. I looked at my mom. At Chloe. They didn't look at the screen. My mom turned her face completely. In the end, the court didn't label it as abuse. Apparently there wasn't sufficient evidence of a clear threat to the child's health. Fine. But now I had official records. Filed statements. Audio evidence. A psychological assessment of Eliza. So if they ever dared to pull something like this again, let's just say, I wouldn't need another hearing. It's been a year. My parents had to sell the house. Quick sale. Cheap. You know how it goes. Miss enough payments, and suddenly creditors are breathing down your neck like it's a hobby. Then someone in a local Facebook group posted the video. The video. The one where my daughter's being mocked for wearing a beanie and yelled at for wanting to say a prayer before dinner. At first, my parents did what they do best, downplay. It wasn't that serious. Kids exaggerate. Family matters should stay private. But when half the neighbors stopped saying hello and the other half smiled like they knew everything but were pretending they didn't, let's just say, the public image started to crack. My mom quietly stepped down from her church volunteer group. Apparently, disciplining your granddaughter with isolation and rotten food doesn't really align with the whole Christian compassion brand. My dad? He stopped going to his veterans group after one of the guys leaned in and asked, "Hey, is it true you kicked a little girl out of Christmas dinner for praying?" He stood up, walked out, never came back. Family gatherings? Yeah, no. Suddenly, all the cousins and extended relatives became too busy, or out of town, the minute they heard my parents were planning to attend. Turns out, no one's really in the mood to be one big happy family anymore. And yeah, they blamed me. As they should. Chloe still has her face, her filters, and her Instagram full of polished smiles. Zero real connection with her own kid though. Alex moved out a couple months later. Got a part-time job, rented a room with a friend, enrolled in college. Chloe now posts inspirational quotes from therapists and aesthetic memes that say stuff like, learning to let go of negativity. Usually next to a glass of wine and a fancy candle. Very chic. Very empty. Just like her. Eliza and I? We're good. She started dance classes. She laughs more now. I hung one of her drawings in our bedroom. It's a picture of her, me, and her dad, with the word family scribbled in big, colorful letters. I don't do holidays out of tradition anymore. I don't pick up the phone when my parents call. They still call. Not often, but they do. I read the texts. Delete them. That's it. I'm not angry. I just don't care anymore. This Thanksgiving, Eliza and I made pineapple pizza. For Christmas, we built a gingerbread house and sang along to old cartoon soundtracks. Family isn't the people who scream the loudest about unity. It's the ones who don't leave your kid alone in a room on Christmas. She still wears that beanie sometimes. Nobody tells her to take it off now. And no, I didn't file an appeal. The court said there was no clear threat to health or safety. Fine. Let them think I lost. But I didn't. Because no one will ever again make my daughter feel like she doesn't belong in her own family. And that's the win. What do you think? Did I do the right thing? Or should I have kept quiet, sucked it up for the sake of family? Drop your honest thoughts in the comments. I'm really curious. And if this story hit close to home, hit subscribe.